Hello, it's 4:45 on Thursday the 5th, and I just wanted to do a video on these entry zones that I've been working on for quite some time. Ultimately, they're going to be going into the bot. There's still some things I've got to work on, but I just wanted to give I did send out the code because I have a couple of people in my beta group that want to try it out, so I thought I'd better do a video on this because I get some questions. So in any event, I know we've been working on this in the trade room and looking at it and watching it, and there's some things, again, we still have to work, and let me emphasize it is beta. First and foremost, this is the only thing I have on here is my reversal bars that I've really kind of come accustomed. I could certainly turn them off for the video, but I've really come accustomed to kind of seeing those there when they're going to reverse. These are just the different groups. And then this status box here, there's just nothing. Well, that's nothing you can read on that. Just kind of ignore that one, I guess. It's just a drawing tool. In any event, this is based on 3 groups of time frames. I use this trading one on the 5-1 chart, but which is group 1, and then there's group 2 and group 3. And this just shows when the reversals of those groups are going to switch. So for trade management, and that's what we're working on. Again, this has nothing to do with trade management. This is only entry zones, and that's it. And right now we're working on the exclusions of that. So again, there's different trade management, but we're not going to go into that. That's a whole separate portion altogether as far as trade management. In any event, if you were to follow on so many ticks down, or a reversal bar, then this is where your ATM would be set up if you're doing it manually. Ultimately, all that trade management is going to be going into the bot, some of which is already in there, like pivot stops and the ATR stops. That's automatically pivots back and forth. They call it hopscotches back and forth between whatever the market conditions are. But there are some more things that I've got written up, just not coded yet, as far as what type of trade, obviously if you're, well, that's the VWAP is already included too. So it's not going to trade into VWAP if it doesn't have enough ticks to they call it room to target, things like that. So there's got to be, room to target. It's not going to plot on the wrong side of certain things. So let me go through them here real quick. Right now we just have moving averages. The small one, medium, large. This is a 3 minute. This is a 3 minute moving average, and these are just moving averages. What they have to do. Let me go in here real quick. Let me just shrink that up. What they have to do is be in the right alignment. Here's your settings, by the way. So you have 5 groups, 6 groups, 6 groups that we're dealing with. Right now, we're currently working on August 3.4, August 4th, and this is just your standard stuff here. But these are the groups. So right now, I have it synced. Let me turn that off. Let's unsync it. But right now, I have it, and I'm going to turn off on the exclusions. I'm going to turn off the moving average. So it doesn't need to be in any kind of orientation. It doesn't mean anything. All they're doing is plotting on the screen just for your own information and do absolutely nothing. So without any kind of requirement, this is kind of what it's going to look like, candy stripe. It's based on when things go up and down, and that's why you really need to sync it with the higher time frames, because this chart is way too small, especially for NASDAQ. You notice it's way too small for a different market. I would still recommend, group 1 for sure. So it syncs, and all that does mean is that they just have to be in alignment with each other. The smaller time frame, group 1, which is this one here, and group 2 have to be synced together. Now, without having the orientation, then it still doesn't really care as far as your moving averages are concerned. If you require them to be in an orientation and you check that, then that means the small one has to be in front of the big one. They have to be, for longs, it has to be on top, and for shorts, vice versa, and you'll get a box like you just saw right there. If we uncheck the 3 minute EMA, and don't want to include that one, that'll be disappeared. You're still going to be in orientation, it's just you're only doing these 2. And if you put that one back on, then, and right now the default is 3 minutes. And in this particular case that you just saw, they are lined up. And if we took it off, it's still going to do it. But in any event, you can see right here, the criteria of the orientation is such, and therefore it met the criteria. The higher time frame chart is green. This lower time frame fast mover is green, and so that's why you're getting the blue zone. And again, trying to pinpoint to the penny is kind of ridiculous. So it's a zone, and we can make the zone bigger or smaller. We could offset it. Right now I have it set for offsets, but we could change it on different things. So you got to take it with a grain of salt as far as, you know, where you would get in at. Now again, it is 10 minutes to 5, so I wouldn't recommend, you know, probably take any trades right now. But again, this is beta and sim. I just want to go through the settings. So if we didn't want that one and we wanted the higher time frame, and so in other words, this chart and the third group, then those 3 groups would have to be synced. And you can see you're not going to get the box because it doesn't match for some reason or another. And if you had both, then that would even be more scrutinized, because now you have to have all 3 charts all linked together. And if they're all going up or all going down and the orientation is in the right order, unless you turn that off, then you wouldn't care, but why wouldn't you? So you have the orientation in the same order. You're using the minute chart to kind of slow it down a little bit, or you could take that off if you want. Once I get the right settings tuned in, dialed in for a specific market, then I'll probably lock them in. But again, I have to kind of keep versatile to change because there's different market conditions. This is NASDAQ, so I definitely want to have certain things going in the right direction, whereas crude or something a little slower, I could probably take off certain things. I could take off the 3-minute or, you know, whatever, but you got to study it and know your market. And actually the price extensions that I'll be posting also is going to help me determine, you know, some numbers, and I'll do a little blurb or summary on price extensions. But basically, it's just nothing more than the MAE and the MFE that Ninja already gives you. Only it just adds to it and tracks the run. So in any event, going back to where we were, well, I would certainly recommend, regardless of what you're doing, at least the second group. Whether or not you do the third group, with NASDAQ, a lot of times I do the third group. If it's not moving and it's slow, then you know, sometimes I'll go to the second group with NASDAQ. If it's a fast mover, then I'll turn this off. Ultimately, the bot is going to determine when or it's going to go on and go off. But you know, right now it doesn't do that, so you manually have to do it. But ultimately, I'll be able to determine, you know, what's a fast mover, and it'll just do it automatically. So in any event, I have that set up. So going down here, this is just the spread. Okay, so the spread is this one right here, the white one. And you could actually, I think, is a setting here? Yeah, whatever. So the minimum. So which means is these 2 moving averages right here have to have a minimum of 5 ticks. So otherwise, it's not going to apply. So there's 7. So you need to have a minimum of 5. So right about here, anything prior to here, it's not going to plot because you got to have 5. Anything over here, your spread's good enough. Now, once you start getting into a max, I think I saw 25 on there. Once this thing starts to spread out a little bit more, the moving averages, then you start kind of dealing with, assuming this moving average was way up here, which, oh, you can see up here. You could see it's starting to kind of get extended, if you will. You know, it's still plot, it looks like. If one's set up, it's still going to plot, but it's really starting to get overextended. And you can see this one actually, you know, would fail also. If you got in this one here, well, you're probably not even in this one anyway because you're running it up. But in any event, you can see that's the spread. So enough on that one. And you certainly could change that. Right now we have a default of it's 5. I think the default is 8. I know we've been toying around between 5 and 8. Again, it depends on the market. So, and the same thing with the max. You got to look and you know, do some market replays, and just experience and using it will tell you, you know, for this particular market, I need more because it's gonna run more. So you make it bigger. The period, the EMA period is at 55 for this one here. Now, if you don't want to see them, you can just turn them on transparent if you don't want to actually see the See them? Right? You just turn them on transparent for the up, for the down, and they'll just disappear. If I were to say okay or apply on that. So I'm not going to do that because I like to see them. But if you don't really care about seeing them, you can just make them transparent. They're going to be there. But and you can change these, obviously. If you want your EMA period 1 to be something different, I have it at 55, and I have the other one at 165. So, you know, again, you can change them anything you want. And again, if you don't want to see that one, change it to transparent, and you won't see them. And then the same with the 3-minute. Now the 3-minute, same kind of scenario. If you don't want to see it, but why wouldn't you? Now you don't have to have the 3-minute on. The reason why this is kind of separate is because of the fact that you may or may not want that EMA in there. It's a defaulting to a 3-minute. I know we've been playing around with the 2-minute, but that's here nor there. And so if you do want, if you don't have that on, one, you won't see it, but it will also not be included in the orientation. You'll only be looking at these two for the orientation. If you want that turned on and you want it in the orientation, then all you have to do is turn it on. Now, if you want it in the orientation, so all three have to be lined up, but you really don't want to see the 2-minute, you can just make those transparent, but it'll still be on, you're just not going to see it. But why do that? This one here is the spread size, the text size. So if you want a bigger font, I have it set at 20, so it's kind of right there. You can move it to the offset if you want it further, if you want it over here, if you want it over right there. I have it set at 90. I think the default is rather 90 or 75. I forget what it is, but anyway, I kind of like it there. And then there's your orientation one, which more than likely. So I'm going to cancel out of here and I'll go back into it so I don't mess up my colors. Okay, so that's the exclusions, and there's more coming. We're working on them right now. There's probably about 4 more exclusions that are going to be coming that I could think of off the top of my head. The VWAP is already written in the bot, so I don't know if I'm going to put it in here because ultimately all this is going to go into the bot. So if I already got it in the bot, what difference does it make? But anyway, so VWAP is one, or I call it room to target. Room to target meaning you have to have, I think the default is 20 ticks. You have to have 20 ticks before, if you're going to be trading into a VWAP. If you're on the other side of VWAP, if you're going long and you're above it, if you're going short and you're below it, fine, but you're not going to be going short when you got VWAP only 10 ticks away from your, you don't have enough target. It'll calculate that and it'll just ignore it, won't even plot it. If it does have 21 ticks, and I've even seen that, I'm like, wow, why did that take? And I looked at it, and sure enough, 21 ticks, I took it. So if it does have the ample enough space, I think for NASDAQ, I might even have it set for 30. I need to have enough room there to get to break even at least. So that's already built in. But right now, the only exclusions that I have are the spread and the EMAs. And then obviously the orientation. So those are it for the exclusions. As far as reversals, I don't even have those programmed in yet. I'll come back to audio. So the plotting here. So we'll kind of go through this one here. So right now, let's just take it off that one. All right. So for right now, obviously, background colors are quite obvious. Early trend. Basically, that means it's red when it's in a downtrend, and it's pink when it's early trend. I call it early trend Q. It just kind of gives you an idea that things are starting to weaken up, and if the things are starting to weaken up, you just be careful. It can go back into, like for instance here, it's red going down. It kind of weakens up, but then it gets a little bit more gusto, then it weakens up a little bit, and now it's kind of like weak, and now it's out of sync. So it's going to go from green to lime green or whatever color that is. I don't know. Let's call it mint. I think I call it whatever it is, light green. So mint. I call it mint. Anyway, so you're going to go from the darker green to a mint. It just means it's weakening up. Doesn't mean it's not bad. It just means that it's weakening up. And then it's going to go to a neutral state. I like the dim gray for my backgrounds, whatever, if you have white or whatever. But anyway, it's going to go to the neutral state. And or red, and then it lightens up and goes to the pink, and then it rather goes back to red if it's strong enough, and then pink. But you will not see green to red. There's got to be a neutral state in there. You're really not going to see that. Now, if you took that off, early trend Q, and didn't have it, then it's just going to be red or green. you know, kind of simple, or neutral, you know, then it's kind of simple. So I just like to see, and you can just uncheck it, no big deal. But I like to kind of see it just to kind of know that it's still in the trend. You know, you can see right here, it's still in its trend. It's just, it kind of got weakened up on this last part of the trend. Just kind of gives you an early indication. Okay, so your offset box. So I have it set in 6 ticks. So for instance, when it's set to queue up, I like to see an offset. And you can see where it changes. Let me get out of here. You can see where it changes. So for instance, right here, it's queued up. And I have it set for 6 ticks back. And you can change that. And this one never took. I mean, it actually didn't even take to right here. And then the question is, you know, do you still want it or not? And from the looks of things, you know, why not? I don't know, you know, without looking at other stuff, I don't even know. But so I have it set for 6 ticks. And so right here, it's set up right here, and we got in right here on a pullback. Same way here, it's set up here. I just don't like doing market orders, because if it actually triggers and it turns green right here and it says, oh, you're going long, you take it right here. Well, now you got to deal with, you know, now you're dealing with, if you got in here right now on a market order, you know, you're dealing with, you know, 19 ticks of risk, where you know they're always going to pull back, you know, some. We don't know how far, but you know that like this one pulled back right to the entry at 14 ticks. So again, it's a zone, but they're always going to pull back. This one doesn't. So, I mean, if you get it in a market order, you know, that's your business. As soon as you see this thing plot, you know, you could do that, but why? You got a moving average right here, 9 times out of 10 it's going to come back. So anyway, but you don't have to have 6 ticks. You can make it 2 ticks. If I brought that up, well, let me go to the next one too here. So that was the ticks, right? So 5. So this is in group 5. So if, for instance, now the height of it. Now what that means is the zone height. So actually the true number is 6 ticks from where it triggered. So you can count 6 ticks back. Then you've got 3 ticks of height. So that means it's 3 ticks one way and 3 ticks the other way. The actual true price is in the center. So if you want to make a bigger zone, let's say 8, so it's really prudent. If you want to make a bigger zone, obviously that your true price is here. There's still 6 ticks. You know, 6 ticks right in the center there of this one. You can see they're overlapping because they're the length. You know, I can make them smaller and just make them shorter. I guess I could do that. I like 75 because you got to have time to come back. So in any event, so if I make it too big, now that's a zone. Well, that's a pretty darn big zone. So I've kind of been working on, so 3 ticks I think is good. Maybe 4 ticks is okay. Again, it's a zone. It's an area. Under trade management, we're thinking about possibly, you know, trailing it down, and as soon as it goes up, then you get a buy stop. Instead of putting a limit order in here and then coming down and just keep going down, what will happen is once it finds the box, it'll trail it down, and on an up bar, it will trigger unless it keeps going down and down and down, like in this case here. If it goes down and down and down past your box, and then at some point you cancel it. It'll just cancel altogether. It's gotten too far away. You don't want it. It just cancels it, and you never even get into trade. So it would require that up momentum to get back into it. But needless to say, regardless of how you manage it right now on a manual discretionary basis, is here nor there. The bot will, you know, do things for you, but that's, again, trade management. And we're not talking trade management. All we're talking about is an area. So, you know, what you do in that area is your business. So anyway, that's the zones. And if you want to make it, you can't go negative. You can't go above it. So look, the easiest, the least you could do is 1. If you want to pull it up more tighter, if you want to pull it up like at a market order, then I would say, you know, 1 tick would be your trigger right there, and that's the most you could do is go 1 tick down. But if you brought that up to, say, I don't know, 5, you get your bigger zone, and there's basically your market order with a 1 tick off. If you truly wanted a market order, and I think if you went 6, you could see how, you know, there's your market. Heck, if you went 7, but look at that zone, you know. So now there's your market order. Now you're in the zone. The instant it triggers, you're in the zone. And your true price is 6 ticks, or I'm sorry, 1 tick. So your true price is is right there because there's an open, and your true price is right there, and then it's just got 7 bars on either side. So anyway, it's a big zone. So that I probably wouldn't recommend. Pullbacks are always good. So the other one then is how long do you want to do it? When you're talking bigger time frames, it's less obviously, but with this 5-1, I've determined 75 is a good number. You need to have a box that's pretty long to have it come back, because it's going to go up and come down. And so if 15 ticks up, 15 ticks down, that's 30 ticks. So you need to have some sort of thing in there. And once I get into the next phase, I'll show you. Those will turn off if things change. Okay, so if you want to plot the entry zone, I guess it's a no-brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't plot it, but anyway, you turn them off. This one here is for the higher time frame. So, and the reason why I have that off is because of the fact it has absolutely nothing to do with this chart here. It has absolutely nothing at all with moving averages. It has nothing to do with this chart at all. All it's doing is saying there's plots on a higher time frame. Again, nothing to do with moving averages, orientation, or anything. So I guess it can kind of get confusing. So the one that's solid is group 2. And if you see a group 3, well, we're not on group 3, but I could do a group 3. If you see group 3, it's a dash. So there it is right there. It's a dash. So again, those are on a higher time frame. Nothing to do with this. It just says, it shows you, and I kind of like that because, and there's one thing, in order to see those, you have to be synced with them. If you're not synced with them, then you obviously will not see it. Well, if you're not synced with it, why would you want to see it anyway? But in any event, I'm thinking about making that to be able to show if you want to see it, regardless if you're synced or not. I mean, who cares? You just want to see it. It's just a show only. But again, it has nothing to do with this chart. It's just nothing more than a higher time frame saying, hey, some stuff's happened, and be careful, kind of thing. And you can see why. So here we're going long. Everything's been going fine all along, and you're getting in, and now you're taking this last one. You're trying to go up there. Now you're seeing those. Tighten up, and that's the kind of thing that the bot would recognize on trade management and say, oh, things have changed, conditions have changed. If this condition is true, I want to tighten up. I'll let it run because it could blow through it. However, I'm going to tighten up. And so therefore, if you get in here, let's say, and you're going up, and now it triggers this condition, your stop would be like right here. It'd be on a pivot. I can't draw because I got the box open. But anyway, I would put it like right here. And it would instantly, just regardless, and actually it would go up to break even really quick and just gracefully get you out. You could even manually move your target down and just take a nice graceful out and just take a couple ticks and call it a day. If you don't see that, then it's fine. That's why I kind of like to see it. Anyway, so that's that. So again, you have to have those on to see it. So, or turn it off altogether, you won't see them. Colors. Those are just the colors of the boxes. All we're dealing with is blue here. Wrong way. There we go. There's magenta. So there's some boxes for going the other way. So that's all that is.
You've got mail.
No, it's my mail. Okay, so we're in group 5, right? So those are the entry zone colors. Of course, you can change those. Obviously, the opacity, if you want to make it nice and thick. I like to kind of see the bars. Okay, so now we're going to get into all the warning business. So these are just group 1 warnings showing, and don't worry about all the colors and the fonts and all that. Basically, these are just going to plot on the screen what's happening. Group 1 warning, it's getting weaker, and then a full reversal on the group 2, or where group 2 is. Group 2, and then the same on group 3. So we're synced right now with group 2 and 3. So let's just take 3 for instance. So on group 3, if we want to see a warning, right here, where's group 3's warning? Right here. So if we wanted to see a warning, basically you're in the trade and you're saying, hey, this went up. In this case, we're going long anyway, if assuming we were long, I don't know. But if you are long and you see that, well, you're fine. like right here. So let's say you're going this way and you're going long, and you get long and you start seeing warnings. You know, just kind of a warning. And once you see full reversals, let me turn this off. See there's on the group 3. So the group 3 is just showing you on this chart that group 3 is reversed, and you know, so you might want to consider no more longs. And let's see if I can see now. Here's a reversal going this way, which is good, and now we see some boxes coming that way. So we'd like to see a nice trend. Okay, so last but not least, I think this is just all cosmetic stuff. And so in any event, if you want to see all those, it gets a little crazy. I'll just show you this for giggles. If you wanted to turn on, let's turn on your warning for group 1, which is this chart, and then that one, and that one, and that one. Let's go nuts here. You could see how it just gets a little crazy. I don't particularly need them all on anyway. Oh, calculating. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can see things are going crazy. What I do like to see are continuations. So when I'm in a trade, you know, let's say you're in the long, and you get in, and you're going there, and then you see the, you know, the continuation ones. I like those. Those are always good to see a continuation there, especially if you're in it. So in any event, you don't need those. So let's, last but not, let me just turn those off there. Okay. And I just turn those off. And then last but not least is section 4. Group 4 is audibles. So if you want to hear an audible, and right now I just have them all defaulted to 2. Only because the fact that it's just everybody has it, and 1 is obnoxious, 2 is just a little ding. So anytime one of your, assuming whichever one you want, so let's say we're only dealing with group 3, let's say you want the bigger time frame, and if you see group 3, you know, reverse, especially if you're dealing with longs, let's say like we are now, and you see a reversal warning, then you know, might want to turn that one on. And the same to reversal. Maybe you want to see a full reversal or something, so you can gracefully get out of your trade or tighten it up or do whatever you want to do. Keep in mind though, you have to have it plotting. I know there was talk back and forth about no plot, or you know, just not plot it, and you know, but you want the audio. You just don't want to see it. You just want an audio that, you know, that you can even make your own audibles that just come from the Ninja files. And matter of fact, I've got free. If you go to the free stuff, there's a crap load of audio files in there. You could download, you could make your own, but whatever. So if I thought about, you know, maybe just making the audible only without that, but it was programmed and coded, and I didn't want to spend the money on it. I said, screw it. So if you do want an audio, you have to have it plotting. So that's it. Now the only thing is, it gets kind of obnoxious, so I don't really have them on. But the only ones I do have on are the moving averages, crosses. So I have, and I've changed my moving indicator. So right here, when you see the cross, then it's going to say bullish moving average cross. It's a lady's voice, and bullish moving average, and this is going to be bearish moving average. Again, you can get those, and I can even send them to you if you want to reach out to me or whatever. Those are just files. And as I said, I don't think those are included in the free stuff, only because I just added those not too long ago, and the free stuff audio files have been up there for like over a year. So, but, you know, in any event, you can pick whatever ding or dong you want. But basically, I do like to see those on, the moving average, EMA crosses, because that way it just kind of gives me a heads up. Ooh, things are going against me or for me, or, you know, whatever. And then what else? Background plots, we already talked about, was 5. And 6 is the version number that we're on, so it's fine. And I think that's really about it. Okay. So the main thing that you want to look at is this here, because it won't do it for you automatically. You definitely want to be in group 2. If you don't go, if you're not in any group, then you're only dealing with this chart. And it'll just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all day long. And you'll get a lot of candy canes. So I would definitely recommend tying it, synchronizing it with group 2 at minimum, for crudes, ESs, things like that. And for NASDAQ, you know, actually there was a couple days I did both, because it was just moving so crazy. I'm like, oh, this is nuts. So I kind of synced them to both. But in any event, that's that. And then exclusions, you pretty much go with the defaults. You know, it's fine whether or not you want orientation. Or now for, obviously you're not going to get any reversals ever. It's not designed for that, because if you have orientation on, you're never going to go short up here because they're never going to be lined up. So, and the same with the spread. If you want to change the numbers on that, the spread, it won't show you a box if your spread is not, and you don't even have to show that. If you don't want to see that spread there, you could just, it's right here, just change it to transparent, you won't see it. But I like to see it. The bot will probably have it off altogether because you don't even need it. It won't be required because it, anyway, maybe we will have a plot. I don't know what we're going to do yet. So that's it. I think we're good. I'm going to do a video. It's going to have to be later because I'm out of time, on the support and resistance lines, which I'm not plotting on here. And then the, my latest toy is the price extensions. That I got to do a little blob on and a video on, but I've been waiting on that for quite a while. And actually, we're on version 3 already, and I haven't even released anything to anybody because I've just been playing with it myself, trying to get it. So I think I'm to the point right now. It's still got some tweaking to do, but I think I'm at the point where I could share it to some beta people and start getting it. But anyway, the long and short of it is that Ninja tracks your MAE, your maximum adverse excursion, and it also tracks your MFE, your maximum favorable excursion, and also your ETD, entry drawdown. So what that means is that how far it goes against you when you get in, how far it goes against you before you're stopped, and then on the other hand, how far does it go in your favor before you're stopped, and then the difference between your high and your takeout. So trying to summarize this really quick, what this will do with the price extensions, once Ninja's done tracking it and it says, okay, here's your numbers, and then you can get averages of how much you're taking drawdown and whatnot, but you really don't know what the market has done. Just because you're out doesn't mean, let's say you get stopped out. Well, maybe you got stopped out by 1 tick. And if you had 100 of those, and you have a big data thing, and you're always getting stopped out, but you don't know how much. Now you get price extensions, and it tells you how much further it got from when you got stopped out. It will start counting average true range. I have the default is 3. So it will continue to track that 3 more average true ranges and let you know that, hey, your average based on a thing of Ninja and your trade was, let's say, 20 ticks. However, according to the price extensions, the average of the trade, whether or not you're in it or not, maximum adverse effect, the MAE, was 24 trades. Well, that's kind of a no-brainer. So if your averaging is 24 ticks and you're getting popped out at 20 ticks, well, what do you do? You know, you could rather get in later, maybe miss a few, or you can make your stop 25 ticks. So in any event, that's where it's going. And the same thing on the upside. So that's available. I just haven't done it yet, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. But that's enough for this video, and hopefully this gives you a little orientation on this here. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. You know how to get a hold of me. Just go to TREMPER.com, contact. Okay, bye.